In this video, I'm going to show you how you can get the results you want using the nesting feature in Lightburn. Let's go. My name is Gil, and in this video, I'm going to show you how you can quickly and easily get the results you want both from SVGNest and Lightburn. My name is Gil, and in this video, I'm going to show you how you can quickly and easily get the results you want from both SVGNest and Lightburn. Now, mastering nesting can save you money and time with your laser job. So whether you're just starting out or a seasoned pro, this video has something for everyone. By watching and learning from this tutorial, you're now a laserologist, a member of the Laser Livestream, which is a growing community of laser users who support and share their laser journey together. We would love it if you would join us and support this project by hitting the subscribe button and bell icon so you don't miss out on any of the upcoming tutorials based around Lightburn and lasers, as well as joining us live for the laser live stream that we host on this channel. They're a lot of fun to be a part of, and it's great to see people from all around the world coming together to share their laser experience and projects. You can also join us on our Facebook group, and the link is in the description below. We can't wait to see your projects on the live stream so that we can talk more about lasers and Lightburn. But for now, let's dive under the surface and answer some of the biggest questions when it comes to nesting within Lightburn. So before we jump further into Lightburn, I'm going to try to answer some of the questions that came up on the original video introducing this nesting feature that it was relatively new a version ago. I think there's been a few updates since, but I am actually using the latest update right now. Let's see if we pop this up. So this is Lightburn version 1.04. And the first question that came up to me was from Al, and Al actually said, "Hello, I ran into a big snag. Could be something that I'm doing wrong. I followed the steps as directed. I uploaded my design, which were earrings. All went as predicted. When I downloaded the completed SVG, it was missing a lot of the inside shapes, such as all the holes for my earrings and some of the score lines in the ideas. Thanks, Al." I also noticed a follow-up comment that was made a little bit later from Oliver, who asked, "Did you get a fix for this?" I'm trying to do the same, but with letters and losing the inner line of, let's say, an O. Tried ungrouping and combining, also tried just the text I typed into Lightburn, but still the same problem. Any help would be gratefully appreciated. So what I ended up doing was trying to recreate that issue. And I know that when I first introduced nesting, there were a few little bumps along the way, and I did speak to Jason about that. Now, I'm assuming that one or two things has happened since I had that conversation. It could simply be that in an update, Jason was able to refine the process of taking a design from Lightburn to SVGNest and back, or there's been a change at the SVGNest side, which, to be honest with you, I don't think actually happened. But let's get into it. Let me show you what I tried to do to recreate it and the results that I got. Given that the example were earrings, I actually used some earrings, so I prepared this in my art library. There's nothing really fancy about this at all. All I did was I found some open designs that I was able to find through, what did I use? I think Google was one of the first things that came up. And here's some earring designs. I'm going to keep it quite large so you guys can see what's going on. These are individual right now, so I'm just going to move them into place. And let's say we want to make, how many we got here? We got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. I'm just going to move this one here, just a little bit over there. Just make it a little bit more uniform. You can see I've been playing with it. Let's see how many we can get on what I'm going to use, which is an A4 piece of material, which happens to be half of the cutting area on my Emblazer 2. So just to make life a little easier, I've gone and set up things in the art library. If you're interested, here's a link to how you can set things up in the art library. And you can see here I've got an A3 and an A4. So I'm going to grab the A4 and bring that in. That way I don't have to punch in all the sizing every single time. And we have that. Just to make this a little easier, I'm going to first of all put on the output, because that was another project that I was like, why can't I see it? Gosh, I love the fact that it remembers the settings from other jobs, but boy, I was actually helping someone out online and I realized I turned my output on and that didn't help. I was like, why is it so faded? Anyway, we're here. I'm sure there's lots of Lightburn users who are like, yeah, Gil, that happens to me all the time. So we've got the A4 piece. That's going to become our container, which we need to tell SVGNest where to put the designs. And in this case, what we're going to do here, if I can select them all, is we're just going to replicate. So we're going to do rows. We're going to go another row. We'll do another row. It's not a problem. I'm going to turn off the virtual array, so all of them are individuals. We'll see how many we can fit in. And then all I'm going to do here is just select everything. All right, so I'm going to hit Command A, selects everything, and then I'm going to go up to Arrange, and then Nest selected. That's it. Real simple. And it's going to jump me straight into SVGNest. Takes me straight to it using Safari because I'm using a Mac. And you can see here in my dock, we've got Lightburn jumping up and down saying, hey, we'll work something out. So let's upload this SVG. The output from Lightburn is in the downloads. So we'll go straight to it. And the first one right here is the file that I want. And there we go. So now we're in SVGNest. You can see it says to me, click on the outline to use as a bin. That's my A4 sheet. I click the bin. And then I hit Start Nest. And it's going to be interesting because, again, you're going to see that all the parts did fit in. It's a little large. I'll show you how to fix that in a second. It will start iterating different changes. As you can see there, it just changed the iteration again. It's working out what's going on. The interesting thing about SVGNest is you can let this run forever. Forever. It'll just keep iterating or trying to find a way to be able to put these pieces together on the material in a better way. And I can actually see that, you know what, I could fit a lot more in here if I wanted to. We're going to stop that. I think we've definitely got a result where it's moved that design across. We're now going to download that SVG, which is now back in the downloads area or whatever folder you've nominated. Going back into Lightburn, which slide it straight across. And it says the file name to import has been copied to the clipboard. Okay, so we're going to hit OK. We grab that top file, and you can see here it's imported it a little bit lower. But if we go in here, we'll just drag it up onto the workspace, you can already see that all the detail in these earrings are present. So let's remove the container. Let's go in there. And you can see all the shapes, all the internal pieces are still present. And I've found this all, including the little holes for the wires. All this is going on. Now I have a suspicion that if you don't have a completely connected shape, this may cause a bit of a problem. But coming back and trying to replicate this, you can see here that I could probably put a few more pieces on there. And if we go to the preview, it's all there. So this could be a job. If I wanted to play around with it, put a few more pieces on there, I could have a standard A4 piece of material that I put into my laser and cut multiple earrings at the same time. Now I started thinking to myself, okay, that worked. Let's take a look at text, because that was the other thing that was mentioned. So let's go and grab a brand new file. Do we want to save this? We're not going to save it this time. Normally I do, but in this case we're not. Let's talk about setting up a nameplate. I'm just going to do this very quickly using a rectangle. I'm going to use a radius just to give myself a little bit of a curve. Makes me think that we're going to make something that's maybe out of Star Trek or some sort of film that I love. We're going to use the offset as well. So we're going to make that a little bit bigger. We're not going to go both. We're going to go inward. We'll hit OK for that. We'll make the inner one. Let's go back. Make the inner one on a different layer. So we know it's going to engrave. And then we will place some... Oh, actually, before we do place text on there, I want to make a few of these just so that we can start playing with the nesting feature. So let's select it all. I always get a little punchy with that escape button because I want to get back to select. And we'll do a few more rows. We'll actually do a few. We'll do it like that. Why not? But let's start adding some names. So we've got some of the greatest characters from television. Let's see who we're gonna have in. See if we'll see with some of these names whether people get them or not. I had to go a little bit further into my brain to try and work stuff out, but like I said, I love doing stuff live. Okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We've got 12 nameplates here. Let's select them. We do need a container. You can already see that this is pretty big. We can scale them down if we want to, but for the sake of this, and I'm going to do this in a specific way because I want to show people what actually happens when you've got something that's a little bit too small. So we're going to grab that A4 size. Check this out. We're just going to leave that there. That's not a problem. It doesn't have to be on the workspace. We'll select all of them. Go back up to arrange. Come down to nest selected. Bang, it's going to pop us straight back into SVGNest. Really like that sliding. Makes life a lot easier. I'm going to hit that upload SVG. Select the first file, which is Lightburn Nest. Now, before I do anything else, I have an option to actually zoom out. Or zoom in. I'm going to zoom out a little bit, and then I'm going to select the nest and then start the process. And you can see here that it did make it a little bit smaller, makes it a little easier. And you can see what's going on here. It's actually trying to put all of those 12 parts in. It did it very quickly. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on one piece, but it has selected all of those parts and it's trying to work out the iterations. At this point, I'm going to stop that. I'm going to go to download. I'm going to go back to Lightburn. I'm going to hit OK. Go to that output 9. And this is interesting. Sometimes this happens, sometimes it doesn't. It's giving me half the results on both outlines. So I've got 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's going to show me how many pieces that I can actually fit. And it has the text there. But we've got a few issues here. Let me just get rid of that to begin with. I'm going to grab these guys. Let's move them onto the workspace. And you can see something that's kind of interesting. The way SVGNest works, it's trying to orientate things in multiple ways. So we have this name that's actually upside down. It's a very easy fix, which I'm going to select. It's upside down, so I'm going to grab the rotate and hold down shift, and that's going to rotate it in place. And you can see here that the text is all in place as well. I'm going to do that also with Hiroshi. And I have now all of those lined up. If we go back down further, zoom into this one, you can see that in working with that design in SVGNest, because it's a very simple design, it's tried to work out that orientation. But again, the important part about this is the text itself has not changed. It is still within the design on Lightburn, even though it didn't come up in SVGNest. And I believe that is something that was done very, very specifically for Lightburn. Let's undo all of this. I want to go back and try another iteration of this, if you'll allow me to. Let's zoom in. We've got all of these selected. So let's make them a little smaller. We'll do it half size. That'll definitely fit on that sheet. I'm going to also copy them or duplicate them. I'm just going to move them up this way too. We've got a few of them. Let's see. I'm just going to push that software a little bit harder. See what we can do there. And in this case, we're going to run the same job again. So we select all. So just zoom out so you guys can see. I'm selecting all of them. Arrange. Nest selected. You guys know what to do. And at this upload, once we've loaded it in, I want to introduce you to this command. We can actually tell SVGNest what we're going to do with different settings. Now, unfortunately, there seems to be a question mark here to explain what these different settings do. For some reason, that doesn't work anymore, which is a real shame. But I was able to do a little bit of digging and actually find what these settings mean. So just to let you know, the space between parts is actually the minimum space between each part. So you can set this if you're using a CNC and you need an offset, or maybe you know the curve of your laser and you want to make sure that you can get each piece together. You can see here that the space between parts is 0. I'm just going to change it 0.1 just to give it a little bit of space. That's it. The laser does have a curve. It's minuscule. I actually don't know the curve on the Laser 2, but if you were trying to get perfect pieces out of one piece of material and you want to see if you can get as much out of the material as you can, you actually have that option. The second one is called curve tolerances, and this is the maximum error allowed for linear approximations of arcs. Now that sounds like, wow, Gil, what are you talking about? It basically just means how much overlap do you want when a shape is actually curved. So you can set that tolerance. It is already at 0.3. I know that there was another question that was asked that I want to bring up, a comment made in the last video, and it was done by Jim Little that said, thanks, but I don't trust that nesting. Many overlapped items here. No, I'd rather do it by hand. Now, of course, Jim, you can do whatever you want to do, but setting that tolerance a little higher may actually make things a little easier for you. Just wanted to show you that option. The next one is parts rotation, and we saw that with the design we had before. And that's the possible number of rotations to evaluate for each part. So it's set at 4, meaning there's 4 different ways that it can rotate the part. You can increase that value to improve results. Instead of having 4, you could have 10 so that it can work out different ways to put these shapes together, but it will slow down the processing for SVGNest. The next 2 I don't use too much. One's called GA population, and that's particularly the population side of the generic algorithm used to move parts and put them together. I don't understand the generic algorithm of SVGNest. I just use a laser, so that's something I don't really mess with. And the other one is called GA mutation rate, and that's the probability of each mutation, depending on the parts. And you can change that value between 1 and 50. I haven't actually played with that either. It's something that I don't really use too much. I don't bother. But the next one is really interesting, and that's called part in part, and you can just activate that. You can toggle that on. And when you do so, what that does is it allows you to place small parts inside shapes that have been already nested. So I know that in my NASA video where I was making the futuristic worm NASA sign, I manually put smaller versions of that sign inside the offcut area that wouldn't be used. So that allows SVGNest to try and put parts within parts. Now, obviously that's not going to work every time, but depending on what your design is, that's something you might want to use. And the other one is to explore concave areas. And when that's enabled, it solves the concave edge case at a cost of performance and placement. So again, what does that mean? It means that if you've got a concave edge, it's trying to work out the best orientation for that piece. But if you'd like to explore nesting further, these commands allow you to save these settings and then get back to the job at hand. So I wanted to introduce you to that because sometimes I think people feel, oh, you know what? I've got this job, here's all my stuff, don't know if it's gonna work. Just be aware that once you've selected the bin, you can't really use the zoom in and zoom out functions, but you can go back in and use these settings. And every single time that you're in here, you will need to save the settings if you want it done for that job. Again, SVGNest is a free service. I know that within Lightburn, this is a fast way to get nesting into the hands of laser users, and I believe that this is something that's going to be explored in future versions of Lightburn. So let's start the nest and see what happens. And you can see here, it's already starting to work out what's going on. And I'm looking up here, it's still got the 24 by 24 parts. So I've got a feeling it's going to use 2 sheets here. We'll let it go for a little bit. That's 21. Let's go up to 30 iterations and let's save it out and see what happens. Great. So we stopped it. I could let that run all the way. You could leave it run. You could let it run overnight if you wanted to. Let's download that SVG. Go back into Lightburn. We'll hit OK. Just give it a second for it to download that file. And actually, yes, I can see exactly what happened here. So we had a few extra names that it couldn't fit into the board as such. So I tell you what we're going to do. 2, 4, 6. How about this? We'll be cheeky. Let's remove 6 of these. Let's remove these top 6. Almost, Gil. Almost. Let's select it all. Let's go back to arrange. Nest settings, upload. We'll do this quickly. Click on the start nest. Let's let it go. We'll give it 20 iterations. This time it's selected all 18 parts. Again, it's trying to work out what's going on. Great. That's 20. We'll download it. Go straight back in to our favorite piece of laser software, Lightburn. Select it. We'll pull that a bit. Oh, wow. See, in this case, again, we did it really, really quickly. So what happened? It didn't fit those last 4 in. Real-time stuff. We're learning as we go along. Let's do it one last time and let's give it 30. And then you can see that each time it's working this process, it's not a given. The longer that we are able to let SVGNest run the process, and in this case, I'm going to just check. We did tolerance. We're going to do 0.3 because that's the only thing we changed. Save those settings, and we'll go. Maybe it was. Wow, there you go. That 0.3, bang, gave us the option that we wanted really, really quickly. We'll give it 30 iterations, as I said. Got a feeling that we'll be able to fit all those parts onto that A4 piece of material now. We're in a little bit over, that's okay. Let's go back into Lightburn. Hit OK. We're waiting for that to download, which it just did. Open it up, pull out, and you can see it's all on one sheet. We'll grab it in the middle, slide it up. Just place it by hand. Zoom in. And you can see here, again, we have everything laid out. Now, we could improve on that. We probably could get a few more in there. But the question we were answering was, would the text change? The text that's in this file is simply the text that can be edited still. So we'll change this to, right? So you can see there, we're still able to edit it. It's still considered by Lightburn to be a text, not layer, but the text tool. The one last thing I'm going to do, again, is I'm going to undo this. And I want to make sure that everyone understands what's going on. So what we'll do is we'll just select these, we'll just delete them. And what I'm going to do is, at this point, I'm going to select all the text layers. And I'm actually going to convert them into a path. They're no longer going to be text editable. So if I go back here and I come, let's select off them first. If I go into the text and I go in here, I'm actually creating a new text layer. As far as Lightburn is concerned, these are just shapes, just generic shapes. That's all they are. So let's select them all. Go into range, back into SVGNest. Once you've done this a few times, it gets really quick. I'm going to change my spacing to 0.3. Save it. That's just the way I have been working with it. We'll close that up because I'm now going to select and start. That's okay. All I wanted SVGNest was to take those shapes and move them around a little bit. probably not the best. That looks good, so we'll stop that nest. You can see it's 50 iterations, a lot faster because there's a lot less information there. Let's go back into Lightburn, hit OK, wait for the SVGNest to go black. Let's go zoom out, come back in, we'll slide that up onto the area. We'll zoom in, we'll remove our bin, and you can see here too that even as individual shapes, the text is still in the same space as the shape. So I know that was something that people were really frustrated with, but you can see here on just those number of tests, just focusing on multiple shapes within, whether or not you're using the text tool or you're turning it into a path, both Lightburn and SVGNest are working, I think, incredibly well to be able to give you what it is that you want. As you can see, nesting is a powerful tool that you can harness to get your jobs done quickly. It might surprise you how often you use it now that you can get the results that you want. Thank you for watching this tutorial. If you want to learn more about how to use Lightburn and your laser to get the results that you're looking for, check out some of these tutorials right here, and don't forget to come back and visit us on the laser live streams. Till I see you next time, get creative with your laser, stay safe, and go and make something amazing.